You've been watching. Maybe you told yourself you wouldn't. Maybe you promised yourself you'd stop checking. But you've seen enough to know that they look happy, that the new supply looks happy, that everything on the outside looks like it's working. And part of you is wondering, are they actually winning? Did the narcissist change? Did they find the person who finally got it right? Is the new supply experiencing something you never did? Here's what you need to understand. What you're seeing on the outside and what's actually happening on the inside are two completely different things. Because there are signs, specific, recognizable signs that tell you exactly where this relationship actually is beneath the performance, beneath the posts, beneath the public image. And once you know what to look for, you'll see them clearly. These are the 5 signs the new supply is not winning. Before we get into the signs, let's be clear about something. This isn't about hoping the new supply suffers. This isn't about revenge or karma or waiting for things to fall apart so you feel better. This is about understanding the pattern, because the pattern doesn't lie. The narcissist hasn't changed. The cycle hasn't changed. And the same dynamics that played out in your relationship are already playing out in this one, just at a different stage. Knowing that isn't bitterness, it's clarity. And clarity is what sets you free. The first sign is one that's easy to miss if you're not paying attention. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. The intensity fades. In the beginning, the stage you're probably still watching right now, everything is amplified. The affection is constant. The attention is overwhelming. The effort is visible and loud and public. That's the love bombing phase. And it's designed to feel like the most real, most intense connection of your life. But love bombing has a shelf life. It always does. Because it's not sustainable. It was never meant to be. It was a tool to secure attachment, to get the new supply emotionally hooked before the real dynamic begins. So watch what happens over time. The grand gestures get quieter. The constant communication slows down. The effort that was once so visible starts to feel a little more ordinary, a little more inconsistent. The new supply probably notices it too, and their first instinct, just like yours was, is to wonder what they did wrong, what changed, how to get that intensity back. And that's exactly where the narcissist wants them. Because the moment someone starts chasing the connection they felt at the beginning, trying to recreate it, trying to earn it back, the dynamic shifts, the power shifts. The new supply goes from being pursued to doing the pursuing, from being the focus to chasing the focus. That's not winning. That's the beginning of the cycle doing exactly what it was always going to do. You felt that shift too. You remember what it felt like when the intensity started fading and you couldn't figure out why. Now you know why. And so will they. The second sign is subtle. That's what makes it so effective. It doesn't start with big blow-ups or obvious cruelty. It starts small, almost imperceptibly small. A comment about how they dressed that day. A slight dig about something they said in front of other people. A tone that's just a little sharper than it needs to be. An eye roll that gets brushed off as a joke. Small criticisms. Tiny fractures in the idealization. And here's what those small criticisms do. They plant seeds of self-doubt. The new supply starts second-guessing themselves. Am I too sensitive? Did I overreact? Maybe they're right. Maybe I should do better. And just like that, the narcissist has introduced the first layer of control. Because this is how the devaluation stage begins. Not with a dramatic shift, with a slow erosion, small comments that accumulate over time into a voice in the new supply's head that sounds like their own but isn't. You know this voice. You had it too. The one that said, maybe I'm too much. Maybe I'm not enough. Maybe if I just adjust this one thing, we'll get back to how good it was at the beginning. That voice isn't truth, it's programming. And it starts with the small criticisms that seem too minor to even address. Watch for them. Because where there are small criticisms, bigger ones are coming. And what starts as a seed of self-doubt eventually becomes the foundation of the entire dynamic. The new supply isn't winning. They're being slowly, carefully reshaped. The third sign follows directly from the second, and it's one of the most telling signs of all. Watch how hard the new supply is working, because in a healthy relationship, effort is mutual. It's balanced. Both people show up, both people invest. Neither person is constantly straining to keep the other person happy. But watch what starts happening. The new supply starts going out of their way, planning more, doing more, being more available, more accommodating, more careful about what they say and how they say it. They're working for the relationship in a way that isn't being matched. And here's what that tells you. The dynamic has shifted. The power has shifted. The new supply is now in the position of chasing, trying to maintain something that feels like it's slowly slipping. They're trying to get back to the beginning, to recreate the intensity, to earn back the attention and the warmth that used to be so freely given. But they can't earn it back, because it was never unconditional in the first place. The love bombing wasn't a preview of what the relationship would always be. It was bait. And now that the hook is set, the effort required to maintain even basic connection keeps increasing. You know this exhaustion, the walking on eggshells, the constant recalibrating, the feeling that no matter how much you give, it's never quite enough. That's where the new supply is heading. Some of them are already there. That's not winning. That's the beginning of losing yourself, trying to hold something together that was never designed to be held. The fourth sign is one that plays out very publicly, which means it's one you can actually see. Watch the gap between the image and the reality. Because as the relationship progresses, as the cracks start forming behind closed doors, the public presentation often gets louder, more curated, more aggressively perfect. The posts get more frequent, the captions get more romantic, the public displays of affection get more visible. And here's what that tells you. When a relationship is genuinely good, people don't need to prove it constantly. They're too busy actually living it to document every moment of it. When the image starts requiring maintenance, when the performance becomes something that needs active upkeep, it's because the reality underneath isn't matching it anymore. The narcissist needs the image to stay perfect because the image is doing a job. It's managing the narrative. It's keeping the new supply invested in the public version of the relationship. It's keeping the audience, including you, believing the story. And the new supply, they're participating in the performance. Maybe because they genuinely still believe it. Maybe because they're trying to convince themselves as much as anyone else. But a relationship that requires this much image management isn't a relationship that's thriving. It's a relationship that's working very hard to look like it's thriving. And those are not the same thing. The fifth sign is the most important one, because it's the one that removes all doubt. The patterns repeat, not similar patterns. Not patterns that kind of remind you of what you went through. The same patterns, the same dynamics, the same cycle playing out with a different person in your position. Because here's the truth about narcissistic behavior. It's not personal. It's not situational. It's not something that changes based on who they're with. It's a fixed pattern, a way of operating in relationships that doesn't shift based on the other person's qualities, their love, their effort, or their worth. The idealization always gives way to devaluation. The warmth always gives way to coldness. The person who was once the center of everything slowly becomes someone who can never quite do anything right. And it's happening right now in that relationship, maybe in the early stages, maybe further along than you think. The new supply is starting to recognize things that don't add up, starting to feel a shift they can't quite name, starting to wonder why the person they fell for feels harder to reach than they used to. They're experiencing what you experienced. At the same stage you experienced it. For the same reasons you experienced it. Because the narcissist didn't change. They never changed the pattern, they just reset the timeline. The new supply isn't living a different story. They're living the same story from the beginning. And you're reading it from a place they haven't reached yet. The part where you finally understand what the story actually is. That's not a loss. That's wisdom they're still waiting to find. So let's bring this back to where it matters. The intensity fading. The small criticisms. The new supply trying harder. The image requiring more maintenance than the reality can support. The same patterns starting to emerge. These aren't signs of a relationship that's winning. These are signs of a cycle doing exactly what it always does. And here's what you need to take from this. You don't need to wait for confirmation. You don't need to watch it play out. You don't need to see the ending to know how this story goes because you already lived it. The new supply isn't ahead of you. They're behind you, still in the part of the cycle you already survived, still learning what you already know. Your healing doesn't depend on their suffering. Your worth doesn't depend on their failure. Your peace doesn't require their collapse. You already have the one thing that took everything to earn the truth. You know what the pattern is. You know what comes next. You know that no amount of love, effort, patience, or perfection changes a cycle that was never about who you are. That knowledge is yours, and it's more valuable than anything the new supply thinks they have right now. The new supply isn't winning. They're at the beginning of something you already finished, still in the part that feels like love before it starts feeling like survival. And you're on the other side of it. That doesn't feel like winning right now. It probably still feels like loss. Like watching someone else get the version of them you fell for knowing what you know and not being able to say a word. But here's the truth. You didn't lose a great relationship. You lost a performance that was always going to end this way. And the new supply, whether you feel sympathy for them or not, hasn't won anything either. They've just started a journey you've already completed. The cycle doesn't care who you are, how good you are, how hard you try, how much you love. It runs its course every time, with everyone. You know that now. So stop measuring yourself against someone who's still in the fog you just walked out of. You're not behind. You're not the loser in this story. You're the one who made it through. And that's the only finish line that actually matters.